Blooms and Stitches by Anne-Marie. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a DIY project with my orchids. So the first thing I'm doing is taking them out of the container that I purchased them in and just taking apart the root. Most of what I took apart, they were in sphagnum moss, and the last two was in the small orchid bark, but you know, the roots are relatively okay. But I'm going to put it in my special orchid mix and attach it to the DIY project that I have. So come along with me for this adventure. Received at least 6 different orchid plants, and my initial thought was to mount them on driftwood so that it looks, you know, more natural, even though they're inside of an apartment. However, driftwood was a little bit too expensive for me when you purchase them, you know, from a store. And if you take up the driftwood from outside, you would have to be able to treat it so as not to bring any more insects from outside. And let me tell you something, I've been fighting thrips and spider mites, and so I decided not to go ahead with the driftwood, but to just use some sphagnum moss and perlite and mix that with an orchid bark mix that I had on hand. I purchased the wire. Those are coated wires. Last year, if you were watching my videos last year, you would see that I was all up in the those sphagnum moss, the sticks that everyone was putting their plants on. It was the moss poles. So I had a few moss poles, and I had experience of making moss poles. And so my thought is, why not just make the moss poles, put moss on it just to make it more natural, and mount the orchids on the moss poles. So this is what I'm doing. I've made moss poles. It's a little bit messy, so if you're going to do the same thing as I've done, please remember to put down your tarpaulin or whatever you have so that you don't cause a lot of mess, because baby, when I tell you I had such a cleanup, but it saved me that I had a piece of tarp to utilize. I also use plastic ties under the moss poles, and you know, there are a lot of people on YouTube that have been making moss poles. So if you go and you search moss pole, you'll see DIY moss pole, and that will teach you how to do it. In this moss pole, you'll see that I also use bamboo sticks so as to make sure that the moss pole stay upright. It's not going to fall over. In the end, it really looked a little bit lean, but I felt like the lean moss pole lent some characteristics, some personality to it. Initially, I was not trusting the process. Honestly, I was not. I was scared of what I was doing. I was scared that I was wasting my stuff. But in the end, it turned out really, really nice, in my opinion. That's what I wanted. So go ahead and watch the video. It's self-explanatory. You can find the in the description for the items that I used. All right. telling you right now, I'm not trusting the process. But is what it looks like so far. We'll see what happens. I do have some decorative moss coming. Pray with me. We'll see in the morning. Trusting in the process, I did. I didn't have any way of putting on the new orchid bark to to the orchid plant itself. So I had some mesh that I tied around it. I'm very careful how I tied it because I didn't want when I'm watering it, that water goes down into the leaf, and that's what caused root rot. So I tied it with this little mesh. I had some cords also, you'll see me tying it up. But I'm currently crocheting those holders, those orchid holders that can be mounted on the piece. So maybe next week I'll do a video showing the orchid holders and how I mounted them. But this allowed me to water the orchid, give them a nice long water with the orchid fertilizers, and I was still able to mount them on the thing. But I'll say something to you ahead of time. I lost a lot of the footage that I had mounting these orchids to the moss bowl. I lost a lot of the footage, but you'll see in the end how it's mounted. I did use some plant pins and I mounted them on it, and this is where the orchid is getting its drink of water. Here I got the fake moss, and I used some glue and just glue the fake moss onto the container that the moss bowl with the orchids would be on. And so I'm just taking my own little time putting it on. Again, this was messy, but it turned out really, really nice. So this is my plant haul. I am going to do them pair by pair so you can see the beauty of each one of them. I do have a regal purple shield already. I believe that's 2 of them. I'm planning on repotting and just having all 3 together so that they're one big beautiful plant. Summer has to put in her appearance, of course. But I wanted to show you some more of what I got today and what I did. So this is I got 6 air plants, and I bought these little things from the dollar store. For all of you who are in Canada, you know Dollarama. I got these from Dollarama, and I bought the glass beads. Each one of these was like $1. The glass beads is, I think it's $1.25, you know, $1 anyway. But for each one of the air plants, I gave them their individual container with the glass beads. You know, I got these. So let me give you a better shot of all 6 of them. That's what they look like. And this is the DIY project that I went over at the beginning of our video. I am going to do some orchid holder. I can crochet, so I'll crochet my own orchid holder. But this is how the DIY project came out. Got these little butterflies, and I thought, you know, it made it a little bit more whimsical, because we need a little bit more whimsy in our life. And of course I put the Hoya with it because the Hoyas and the orchids, you know, they're almost the same. So they'll grow and they'll wrap around. When I make the holder for them, I'll make sure that the roots are out so that they're able to get out and just wrap around this this work of art. I still left some of the spaces open, so if they want to push their shoot inside, they can push their shoot inside, but this is what it looks like. Of course, I know the orchids, their leaves, the petals won't last forever, but I know that they will rebloom, you know, sometime again, so I keep them like that. And it doesn't have to be watered often, so this is the reason why I put them with the Hoya, because they're similar in nature with regards to the watering. But yeah, I also managed to put her on something that it's easily movable. So if I want to move her out of that corner, she may not stay in this corner forever. If I want to move her out of the corner, I can absolutely do so. All right, so let's go on to looking at each one of these Coleuses, because they're different Coleus. I have some already that I already purchased, and you know, they're going on just fine. Coleus tends to be some very hardy plants, you know, just like this beautiful lady. I stick with what is easy. The harder ones, I just can't work with that. So let's look at these Coleuses. Okay, so these Coleus is known as Kingswood Torch, simply because they have the green outer edge and you know, this light magenta with deep magenta outer on the petals. It's very beautiful. It has a sweet feel to it. So this one is Kingswood Torch. This beauty is a color blaze ridiculous. You know, like you saying ridiculous, she's ridiculous because she's mostly red. Color blaze ridiculous Coleus. These two babies are Stained Glass Works Presidio. I can't pronounce the scientific name, but that's what they are. Look at it. Look at the beautiful variegation on the leaves. Last plant was a Presidio, Stained Glass Work Presidio. This one is Stained Glass Work Velvet. And if you feel the leaves are velvety. It's beautiful. These are real leaves, by the way. When I went and I look at them, I'm like, oh my God, this could not be real. But they are real. They're beautiful. Oh my God. And the bonus is that they're easygoing plants. They can grow in high light, low light. Whatever you throw at them, they'll just work with it. Very easygoing plants. So I'll just put the name of it on the screen because I am not going to bite my tongue today. So yeah, but if you notice with most of the Coleuses, they have a vibrant green and burgundy to them. Most of them that I've noticed so far either are deep burgundy and green, burgundy with light pink. That's what I noticed with most of the Coleuses. But they're still beautiful. It's the Heartbreaker Coleus, but this could easily be mistaken for the nettle. All of them here, those are Coleuses, all of them. Except for the purple shield. I'm going to end the video here and do my usual pleasantries, just to say thank you for watching my video. If you watch it to the end, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share my video. It helps to grow my channel and help me to bring more beautiful videos such as these. I'm going to end right now by saying have a great weekend until I see you in the next one.